Hello, everybody. This is your host, Lydia. I just wanted to hop on here before we start this podcast and say thank you so much for tuning in. We are so excited to get this started, and we definitely forgot to record an intro to this, so we will work on that in future podcasts. But for now, this is what you get. So, once again, thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy.
We'll just start out with introducing the team.
Yeah,
Would you like to start?
sure. Dr. Jim Long. I guess I'm the faculty member. I'm also work at Friends University, where I teach finance and economics mostly, and the division chair as well.
And then, who are we to you?
Oh my gosh, liabilities.
Liabilities.
No, I mean you are. I said it earlier. You guys are the best and the brightest, right? You. This is kind of our quasi honors program where students who are like willing to do more than just the bare minimum. We've got this type of a project where it's important for everybody in higher ed, and so I didn't like open it up for everybody. I actually individually recruited you, if you recall, right?
Okay, and then also, Dr. Long, just
Yeah.
give us a quick intro into like what this project is, the very brief, like general overview. We'll get into the nitty gritty in a second.
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's called the University Deathpool, and just to really give you the quick thing about it was a while ago there were some researchers who were fairly famous and high-paid researchers. They were from Harvard, and they predicted that in a handful of years, 25% of private universities will either have to close or like some type of financial apocalypse that would cause big changes for them because of declining birth rates of people your age. You know, there's just going to be fewer of you. And at that point, I want to tell you that I was interested because, you know, I've got this really curious mind, but mostly it was, am I going to have a job? I mean, is there going to be universities? Am I going to have to look for a different job? And I wanted to know if it was really a thing. And so we started to do things about measuring the health of universities from a perspective of finances, how efficient they are academically, and how many potential students they have within their market segment. That's basically it. We call it the collegiate death pool because it was okay to say, not okay, but 25% of them are going to close. Everybody I've talked to in higher ed, and I've got lots of friends in higher ed because we all kind of hang out. And when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, it's a real thing, but it's never me. It's never like, it's not going to be my university. It's not going to be that university across the street. So I wanted to work with students like you and figure out exactly which universities it is by ranking them from the healthiest, the Harvards of the world, to the ones that are just circling the drain and they don't know it. I wanted to rank them. And so that's what this is. We are ranking the university's health.
Okay, so we're just gonna go around, introduce ourselves and what your role is to the team. Start with Will.
Okay. Well, I am William D. Logan. I am a senior here at Friends. I am a mathematics major with a concentration in computer science. I am the data guy here on the research project,
Yeah.
doing stats and data and SQL and all that boring stuff. I do the boring stuff in the background. So yeah.
Perfect.
Well, can I just do a quick editorial?
Of
Because I think
course.
that since I'm the division chair of business, some people might think that this is just a business thing. And whereas we have business people, we have more. We have William, who's or Will. We call him like Will or William or whatever. Stop yawning. He's STEM, right? And we also have like
Right.
fine arts people who've worked on this before. All right.
Next.
All right, hello, my name is Nick. I'm a student here at Friends University. I'm a senior here, and my role is I'm a project manager, so I kind of just go around, I check in with everyone, check in on deadlines, and keep everything flowing and up to date.
And my name is Grant Wagner. I'm a junior. I'll break the trend there. Here at Friends, I'm business administration major. I'm another project manager for this project, and kind of like Nick said, we just get mad at Will and Lydia when they're late on their assignments and make sure that it all gets turned in on time and make sure that all of our due dates are met and everything is completed.
Awesome. And I'll round us out. My name is Lydia, and I'm the resident marketing person on this team. And so I do all of the, what do I do?
Marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing.
No, yeah, I mean, because
You do the pretty stuff.
Yeah, I do a
Visually.
lot of the outward-facing pieces of the project as far as presentations. Obviously, this podcast is a new iteration of how we want to market.
yeah, I mean, can I just say that a lot of what we do is stats heavy and a lot of math and a lot of stuff that the normal person isn't going to care about. What you do is you bring awareness, right? And then people can kind of see and understand what it's going, because it's a big deal for people who are 16, 17 years old and they're selecting a university, or if you've graduated and you're very fond of your school that you graduated from, is it going to be around? And we should also kind of off camera, right here, we also have Haley. And,
Yes.
she's rather new to us, but we can't see her because she's behind camera. And but yeah, she's helping you a lot with some of that, bringing awareness to what we're doing and focusing more on our socials, which I don't
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
It's beyond your time. It's
Yeah.
okay.
It's true.
It's
Yeah,
okay, Jim.
I'm old. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, so let's pivot back to kind of this project, and I just wanted to ask, when do you think we will start seeing the effects of this project and like the enrollment cliff and all of that?
Well, we're already seeing it. I mean, we've been tracking this. There's been a couple of universities that we predicted will close that have actually closed. And it's a sad thing. We don't take any joy in being right about things. I think Limestone University was one that, did they announce a closure and maybe they decided not to, and there was another one too. But we had predicted that they would be, we had ranked them critical. But what we're doing is we're actually seeing it right now, and we're in the downward kind of trend towards enrollment, but it's not supposed to get really bad probably until about 2027, but it's going to get worse and worse each and every year. The trough is going to be 2027, 2028, and that's going to be the point where a lot of universities that are just on the cusp, that maybe they have a lot of deferred maintenance, they're just not going to make it. It's a scary time, and you're like, well, that's a couple years down the road. Well, there's a lot of students that are enrolling in school, and they're planning to graduate in 2027, 2028. Can you imagine if you started out this year and planning to graduate, but then your university was no longer in operation when you were going to graduate, and you had to pivot to some other school that you were a stranger in, hoping that your credits would transfer, not knowing if they would for sure? It's a thing.
Yeah, and so we have all of this kind of theoretical ideas. How do we know that this is actually like mathematically true? Like we see these closures and stuff, and how do we know that this is not just coincidence?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a whole episode in and of itself, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
you've been in the room.
Of course.
And we give William about 6 or 7 Red Bulls, and he comes up with these predictive models that we have taken all 1,500 universities that we have access to, filtered them down to the universities that we have data on, And from there, we get a representative sample, and we are able to weigh how viable they are financially with how efficient. And what I mean by that is that's pretty basic. It's like how many bills do you have to pay based upon how much money do you have coming in. That's the money coming in is usually tuition, and the bills that you have to pay is like how old is your building, how much does it cost for that type of thing, just like anybody. So we take a look at that, and then we also take a look at academic efficiency, which would be, do you have way too many faculty and way too few students? Do you only have a couple of people in the classroom at a time? That's not very efficient. And then the last one is market saturation. Are you living in a place that has a lot of universities for just a few students? Like Kansas, for instance, there's close to 100 colleges, either public or private, and we don't have a lot of population, so that's a lot of universities to share not a lot of students. So that would be a market saturation issue. So we've taken a look at those, and what we do, without getting too much in the detail, and I know that William would love to get into the detail about this, but again, another day, we do something that we compare the top 50 with the bottom 50, and from that, it allows us to establish the weighting of those three things that I had just talked about in order to predict which is the healthiest and which is the least healthiest. And this is a model that is constantly refreshing. As soon as we get new financial information, it updates. It changes the weighting of those big three things. Again, finances, academic efficiency, and market saturation, and we're able to predict it. Now, I will say, is it possible that there will be a university that we think will close and they'll figure out a way through grit and innovation and great leadership how to turn it around? That will absolutely happen, and that's great. Will there also be a university that we're like, that thing's safe, they're doing great, and then they close? That will happen too. But by and large, fairly accurate. It's very accurate, just based upon us listing the rankings before, which can be found on universitydeathpool.com, and which ones have closed. They align pretty closely. You know, I can geek out on this a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think anyone yawned.
Okay, well, I'd love to hear from the project management team on just a little bit about, like, who actually is affected by this kind of data. Like, is it just a certain group? Is it just the kids? Is it governments that are going to matter? Like, who's affected by this?
Do you want to go first? Or you want me to?
You got it. If you want to
So
start.
I would say it's more collectively. I mean, if you're in a city and that city is dependent on new college students coming in, if that university dies, what's going to happen to the businesses in the community surrounding that university? I mean, it's just going to go away. Businesses are going to close. I mean, it's going to be drastic.
Yeah, I mean, I would tag along, just like the whole city counts on them, but also there's faculty that have jobs, like Dr. Long said, or Jim said, you never know going into the school year if you're going to have your job the next year. Like, we had looked into one school specifically that announced closure less than 2 weeks before their start date, and there were faculties that thought they had a job. There were kids that had already had their scholarships ready to go to school and had their move-in dates, and then that just affects thousands and thousands of people within the school.
Can I just talk about something that Nick and Grant had said? Now, there are a lot of universities that we've looked at, and I would call them university towns, exactly what Nick had talked about, without getting into any names, and we've got some locally. But that town does exist based upon the economics that university brings in. All the jobs and all the revenue, and the students eat at the Taco Bell, all that stuff, right? And they may not know at a drop of a hat that major revenue source can be gone, right? And what do you do as a town? It should freak them out. it should really freak them out a little bit, especially if you're a small town. When I say small town, let's just say less than 10,000 people, and your major hub of commerce is based upon either directly or indirectly that university. You should really care how that university is doing. You should be asking questions. So that's one of the things that startles me. And there's going to be hundreds of them, I suppose, within the next 5 to 10 years that will close. And that could be hundreds of cities that could have a lot. And so what is the net effect of that? Well, that city still has to make revenue, and that would just mean more taxes. So that could be problematic as well. And then Grant did talk about like faculty. There's this notion out there that even from the faculty, that faculty have tenure and faculty have job protection for life, but that's not the case. If a university has to close because of financial reasons, all that is out the window. So it's a scary time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this can be open for anyone who wants to give input. Do you think that public schools will be affected either negatively by the lack of upcoming students or positively by the shrinking pool of competitors as these like smaller private schools start closing?
Now, you guys have heard my theory on this, and I don't want to monopolize the conversation. But
Will, we haven't heard from you. Do you have any thoughts on
Hey,
this?
don't gotta stop me from talking. I mean, I feel like it's not, one simple answer. You can't just say yes or no. I do believe they will get some, as we lose universities, that market saturation is going to alter, even like private universities, publics, every university is going to get those new students that come in. That said, if they are also on that chopping block, they feel the opposite effect of that, and even then, we've seen that it's harder for us to analyze publics since we don't have easier accessibility to their data. But that said, there's a ton of public universities, and just they get help from the government, but that doesn't necessarily make them immune. So if they're not pulling in revenue, they still are going to see those same issues that we're seeing with the privates.
really quickly, let me just say that as this market compresses for everybody, collectively, privates and publics sit together, what will happen is there'll be some big public universities that will be subsidized by legislators because they'll start feeling the pressure, and that level of subsidies, whether that's whatever that is, an increased appropriation, that will create a competitive disadvantage for the privates who will not have those subsidies. And so it will be actually a harder situation for privates to compete with publics that will receive these subsidies. That's my big conspiracy theory. But I think it's going to happen because if you're a politician and all of your constituents, they're like, oh my goodness, it's so tough for Ohio State University. We can't let them fail. Of course, you're going to do whatever you can to save your university. Not knowing that within Ohio, there's a bunch of private universities that will suffer because of it. So I'm just saying, if you're a politician and you feel that pressure, provide those subsidies to every university that receives financial aid, all of your accredited universities.
So we talked about how we're going to be seeing these like small schools close, and it does seem like the ones in danger are a lot of your like lesser known, very small schools, maybe even in small towns that are at risk of completely closing down the entire city if this school closes. So I guess my question is, what's the importance of those cities? Why are we concerned about like these very small schools closing?
It's a good question. I mean, you all chose to go to Friends University, a small, private, liberal arts university, faith-based. And there was a reason for that. I love those big public universities, too. They're great at what they do. They're great at research. I've gone to them. I've experienced them. They do some great stuff. But what you get at a small public liberal arts university is the ability to be more than just merely technically proficient at something. Through the liberal arts, we teach you like ways to communicate, ways to lead, all these things that make you the whole person, right? It's more than being technically proficient. You can still be a CPA, but we give you a little bit more than that. Like, for instance, you chose to come to Friends University rather than some other place because of, let me just guess, a little bit of, as much as I annoy you, a little bit of this that you wouldn't get at a big state university, would you? You get a lot of face-to-face interaction, a lot of time with your faculty members. Your average course size is very small. I remember being in a class taking psychology with 300 other people, and the faculty member said that only one of you will get an A. I remember being absolutely freaked out, and there was no way for me to talk to that faculty member. I had to get an appointment with his teaching assistant. And so that's what these smaller liberal arts, faith-based universities, which is what Friends University is, can offer for you. You really get people a lot better than me who just love to teach, who love to interact with students. At those bigger public universities that do a great job, that's where you see a lot of things invented, a lot of cures devised, but they're more about research. They don't love you guys the way I love you. So I think that that's what you get, and that's why we should protect them.
No, I would definitely agree with that. The amount of opportunities that I've had being at Friends University is astronomically bigger than when I was at my previous school, which was a more kind of your typical state school. Mm-hmm. And so even though the physical campus is smaller, the student body is smaller, those opportunities come around so much more often because, I mean, one, you're not competing with so many other students to get those opportunities, but also I feel like private schools have kind of certain connections, and when you're going to like a small private school in a city like Wichita, a lot of those people stick around and are kind of more heavily involved in the city itself, and so that's where you're finding like I've had so many connections in city council and small businesses because those people who graduated. Just today I had a meeting with someone who started a coffee shop here in Wichita from a business plan that he did as a Friends student. And so those are the kinds of people that stick around in the city, and so you automatically have these connections that you just wouldn't find as much at a big state school.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I know a lot of people not only that stay in the city, but even stay to help support the school. Like I know about 3 people off the top of my head that work here now after attending here. You know, they want to come and help build this small university to actually have that interpersonal connection with all its new incoming students.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we only have a few minutes left, so I would love to just briefly talk about like from here, like where is this research going? What are our kind of short-term, long-term goals, and what are we where do we see this like evolving to?
Yeah, I think again, I feel horrible that I'm monopolizing the conversation, but it seems like you're pivoting to me on that. I could be wrong, but what we're doing right now is this. Like I said, this is a project that is organic and it's living and it's changing because it changes each and every day. So, again, whoever wants to visit universitydeathpool.com, that's where we post our research. We keep it as transparent as possible. That's going to be going over some major facelifts regarding the data. There'll be a new iteration, an updated Deathpool list, and this is going to be something as we are working on this new, I'm going to call it an update, that it's going to be almost in as real time as it can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for instance, there are new financial documents that are submitted all the time. And as those go up there, the death pool is going to take another snapshot and it's going to adjust the rankings. And so you should be able to see if you've got like your university that you love. Let's just say that you've got a university in New Hampshire that you have graduated from that you love. You can see as it's going up or it's going down. And I'm asking people that if there is a university that you love, and they're out there, to be vocal, to be active, to activate yourself, whether that means discussing this with the administration of that university, donating to that endowment of that university, whatever it takes. These are the things that they need in order to stay viable in the future. So kind of big things, and we have an aggressive timeline to have this update on the website that will give you that real-time view of the death pool.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be able to pull new data automatically, have it, not only update, every, university individually, but the whole model as a whole entity. We could, it changes the percentages, the rankings, the weightings of everything as it goes through, runs the new data and runs the new algorithms to make the new rankings every single. It could be every month for all we know.
And I know that we're over time, but I just have to say that this is going to be a lot different from the way it was, because our first version of the death pool, that was everybody in this room plus a lot of other people copying and pasting financial documents for months at a time. And when we say close, about 1,000 universities, we did like 7 years. So it was 1,000 times 7 times all those data points. That was a lot of work for everybody.
I mean, don't forget about the ones we had to type into,
Yeah, you had to type some in. Yeah, you couldn't just copy.
Well, we changed our formula multiple times too.
Yeah.
We've gone through multiple iterations of figuring out what's most accurate.
I think because we started off with something that was rather, I don't know. It took us a long ways to kind of dial it in a little bit. Before we had a nice course view of it, but as we collaborated, we're like, well, wouldn't it be more accurate if we did this and did this? And who knows where it's going to be in the future? We may do some other things as well. Who knows? But I'm just kind of excited to see your work as students out there and transparent and frankly pretty important.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up at this point. I guess we'll throw in a shameless plug. It was mentioned before, but we do have a running website. It is universitydeathpool.com, correct?
That's right. And there is an option to subscribe, and it doesn't cost you anything. But what that means is if there's any updates or a university closes or something happens, you'll just receive an email if you opt in. So we do appreciate subscriptions just because, I don't know, it's just something that it's a metric that I use to validate all the work that we've been doing.
Yeah. And then as far as keeping up with everything else we're doing, we have a University Death Pool Instagram. And then this podcast should be on your basic streaming platforms as well as a video version on YouTube. So
TikTok.
we will also be posting some highlights, some clips on TikTok, and that should also be University Death Pool. So stick around, hear further updates. Hopefully this will be an ongoing podcast that we keep doing and keep updating on everything that we are finding.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much, Lydia.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lydia. Yay!
Good job, guys.